Good morning, everyone. Happy Easter. It is Sunday, Easter Sunday. So I was out doing my normal thing out in the front porch. Got up this morning. I turned my heat mats off. I turned my grow lights on, as I do every morning. And I was checking my pepper seeds because I told you in the last video that I put the dome on top just because we needed to keep the heat in for those seeds because they're very hot weather loving plants and they haven't germinated yet. So I put the dome on and I've kept the dome on, but this is the perfect example of paying attention to things when you're doing it. So when I checked everything and I took the dome off, I don't know if you'd be able to really see it. You can just start to see a little fuzz. So I saw that is a little bit of mold. So it's not a big deal because that's the only thing that I can see right now. So I took the top off. It's going to be sunny today, not super warm, but sunny. So I'm going to get some air in here and let things dry out, because that is the perfect example of what happens if you keep those domes on for too long without getting some airflow, is they start to get moldy. And you don't want to ruin your seeds. Your seeds will get moldy, your plants will get moldy, they'll be very stunted, and they will just mush. So again, if you're going to use the heat mats, I use them just at night, just until my seedlings emerge. Then I stop using the heat mat. If I didn't have these taller seed starting trays, cells, if I didn't have these, I would have had domes on everything just until they popped up. Then I would take them off. And I would still use the heat mat at night just because it's really cool where I am here in upstate New York. But I would turn them off during the day. You don't want too much heat, you don't want too much moisture, because that's going to grow mold and that's going to ruin everything. So using one thing at a time is a huge help. So it's almost time for me to get my fan up here. I have an oscillating fan on a stand, and I'll put it out here, and just to move some air and keep the air flowing. And it's also going to help with the stems, because see, these stems are very, very tiny, and outside, mimicking nature, once they emerge, the wind is going to blow them. So that's going to make the stem really strong. Like right now, they're just standing still, and that's not necessarily good for them. So if you don't have a fan, if you come through whatever a couple times a day and just run your fingers over them, that works too. That is just fine. But I just like the fan. And if you do use the fan, always remember that it's going to mimic the wind outside, so you may have to water them a little more. You just keep an eye on them. Don't overwater, don't underwater. Just pay attention to them. So I may get the fan out later today, just because it's going to start getting really, really warm out here. And the next couple days, by the end of the week, it's supposed to be above 80 for, I'm so excited. But I just did, what is this day? Today's Sunday. So Friday night, I put the dome on. By yesterday morning, this had popped up. By this morning, there's another jalapeno. And I'm just starting to see a couple little regular bell peppers come up. I did pop some other seed. Oh, here's another one. So it definitely proves that it was just too cold in here for the seed germinations for the peppers. And they're hot weather loving plants. They like hot, they like dry. So once these seeds emerge, I'm just going to treat them just like the rest. So I got the snow fencing up. I made the area a little bit smaller than I had anticipated, just because I feel like the babies are small, so I just want to give them a little space outside, but not a huge amount. I know it's not super ideal. We should have the fence done within the next couple days, so they'll have access to all of this and have adequate fencing. And so I'm just gonna, we'll pay attention to them. We'll watch them. I'm on vacation this week. This is a lot of the reasons why I'm doing some things like this. the weather hasn't completely cooperated with us to be able to get out here and finish off the fencing properly and quicker, but they need to get outside. It's actually a little bit warmer earlier than it was yesterday, so I'm just waiting for my kids to get here because my daughter helped me get the chickens out into the garden yesterday, and then my son had to help me collect and wrangle all the chickens. So I feel like getting them out here, and we're gonna fix the automatic chicken door because I don't know how to use it, so I gotta set that up. And we'll put the heater out here for the night. They will have heat. I'm not worried about them. They'll be fine. And just to get them out in the fresh air and sunshine. They need it badly. They've overstayed their welcome in the brooder on the front porch. They're ready. And then they'll have this fence line here, and they'll be able to see all the big girls. And this was my biggest reason for doing this in stages like this, because the big girls need to be introduced to the little girls, because they will peck them and kill them if you just throw them in as babies. Well, you got poo on your foot, girl. So that way they can get a chance to meet everybody, and they can look at them curiously, like they're trying to get underneath the fence. Yep, we're gonna fortify the fence a little bit more. But that way they can be introduced to each other. The little babies can see the big girls and vice versa. And then once everybody, when I have all of the chickens out here and everybody's introduced, then I'm gonna take this fence down in between so that everyone can have access to everything. And then the little girls can learn how to go into the regular big coop. And by then we'll get some more roosts in there. There's plenty of room. I'm not worried about space in there. I was actually, if you saw any of my previous videos, I was actually kind of nervous about us redoing the roosts before the winter last year, because they had so much more room, and chickens kind of huddled together next to each other to keep each other warm. So I was worried about them having too much space. So having some more chickens in here, they'll smush together when it's really cold, and they'll have plenty of room. So we're all set and ready with the water, and I got some food out here for them. I mean, this house is hysterical. They'll have places to hide underneath here. They can just chill out and get away from everybody. They can jump up on here. I don't really care. When my husband wakes up, we're gonna finish in the house. We're gonna cover up those 2 spots. We'll leave the top ones open. We'll just put some plywood over here. I don't want to destroy this house either, because when we're done with it, I'm sure someone else can use it. You know, just put well, I can get in here. I can get in here because I'm small enough. We'll just kind of screw this up here. We'll put a piece of plywood over this. We'll put a piece of plywood on the outside of the door. I'm not so much worried about like these little things, because it's going to get real warm real fast. It doesn't push open, or it doesn't open from the inside. So I'll just put a little hooky latch thing just to close it. And I'll set up the brooder on this side so they can just cuddle up against it. They don't necessarily need a roost right now at this age, because they're still little yet, and they'll need it soon, but not right this second. So they can huddle up on the ground in front of the heater, and that's that. And then just the next stage here. So I'll show you what it looks like when Kara comes. Kara is my daughter. She is my sidekick on the chicken wrangling girl, so she can come help me get the babies out here. So the babies are out, and we had to fix our little snow fencing a little bit. I wasn't super optimistic, but yeah, they are much smaller than I had anticipated. I just need a couple days, and then we can get the rest of the fence put up. So we made some modifications, and hopefully it's all set now, temporarily. So I also wanted to talk about hello. I also wanted to talk about the reason why we wanted to keep the fence up in between the adult chickens and the babies, because the big chickens have already been established in their flock. So a flock is 2 or more chickens within a family. You have to have at least 2 chickens because they rely on each other for, they look out for each other for, you know, predators or someone finding good food. They tell each other about food and stuff. So you always have to have more than 2 chickens. So within that flock, they have a hierarchy. They really do. So it's called a pecking order. So if you have a rooster, predominantly the rooster is at the top of the pecking order. So he takes care of his girls, takes care of his flocks, he tries to protect them. He will, if he finds certain food, he will scratch around and do his bark bark, whatever their sounds are. Hi, baby. And he'll show them where the good food is, and he will let his girls eat first, if it's a nice rooster. So there is already I don't have a rooster, so there is already an established pecking order within my girls. So one of my hens, which is an adult chicken, adult female chicken over the age of 1, so they are a pullet up until 1, and then they become a hen. So one of my girls, I don't know which one it is, it's one of my buff Orpingtons. She is at the hierarchy. She is at the top of the pecking order. And then there's someone at the bottom of the pecking order. Usually you can tell which chicken is at the last bottom end of the pecking order because they are the last ones into the coop. So the highest one in the pecking order will be predominantly one of the first ones in. And the lower ones will keep an eye out. So they'll keep an eye out for predators. So if you see some lingering chickens outside, and all the other chickens are in, it's usually that's the one that's looking. They're the outlookers. They look for any predators or anything while everybody's getting up on the roost, because that's a very sensitive time for them. And so we want the fence in between here, because if you just put these little 5-week-old, 6-week-old chicks in, then they will just peck them because they can't protect themselves. So this is a good way to introduce them so they can see each other. They know they're there and they can get used to them. And then when it's time, I can take down part of the fence. I'm just going to take down part of it so they can be together. And then if anything goes really wrong, I can just put the fence back up. You know, I would need more time at that point. So it will always definitely be a little bit of a rough go, because right now, even with the 5-week-old chickens, they have already started their pecking order. So they already have someone that's in charge right now. So then when you integrate the 2 flocks together, then you have to reorient that pecking order. And sometimes it's a little messy. It might not be always nice. You may think some of the bigger girls are picking on other girls. Even right now, if one of the lower pecking order chickens is doing something that the higher ones don't like, they'll let them know. They'll peck at them. So right now I'm just getting them used to the fresh air, used to being out here on the grass. I'm trying to figure out my chicken door because it does not like being tilted like this. So I'll work on that, and then we'll get the heat out this afternoon. But hi, I'm just sitting out here. I mean, that's the best thing that you can do, is just sit here, be here. Try not to go running up to them because that's just going to scare them. So I'm sitting about 10 or 12 feet away from them, and I'll just intermittently hang out here so that they know that I'm friendly. They have seen my face. They know what my face looks like. They have memorized me. Oh, did you find a bug? Ooh, But right now they're just scared. There's a lot of outside elements that they're not used to. The wind or the birds flying by or seeing a squirrel or just even the other chickens. Although we got a big chunky girl sitting over there, if you can see her. She's just laying in the sun, but it's so cute that she's laying in the sun over by this fence. So I mean, my girls they're just about 2 years old, a couple more weeks. I meant what today is, the 9th, so yeah, a couple more weeks. My Orpingtons will be 2 years old. So they're very docile. They're very loving. These are a good breed of birds, but I'll warn you, they are very, very broody. But I think they'll do well. In the long run, I'm going to keep some of these buff Orpingtons as long as I can, because it's always super helpful to have old birds in your flock, because they have experiences just like we do as adults. They have experiences, they have knowledge, they can teach the younger generations of what to do and how to do things within our environment, because your environment is going to be different than my environment. And they can teach them and show them the ways and show them that you have a happy life here. So we'll see throughout the day how the girls do. I'm excited to get them outside. They are very, very skittish right now because they just don't know what to do. So they've been hiding, but we shall see. So here we are the next morning. I checked on the babies this morning. Hello. Oh, did you take the top off your feeder? You need more food? They all did really well. They're sitting on top of the heater. Goofballs. I don't know how they're doing that because that heater's pretty hot. So they did pretty well. The door opened. I'm shocked. I'm not impressed with this chicken door, so I just went ahead last night and ordered another omelet door. If you watched any of my previous videos from, well, a while ago, we bought the omelet door, but at the time it took almost 5 months to get here. So I was skeptical to buy another one, even though it works really well. So I just up and ordered one, and we'll just see what happens. We'll figure it out. But I wanted to tell you, last night while I was out here, I was in the big chicken run with the girls because they kind of been a little jealous that I've been over here with the babies. And they all of a sudden freaked out when everybody ran into the coop. And I just thought it was, you know, once the sun starts setting, it casts shadows, and they get really skittish over the shadows that are, you know, moving around and the birds flying around. There was a bunch of birds in the trees. But I came over to the babies because they had tipped their food over, and I fixed that, and then I looked up in the tree and there was a hawk right above the run. So I had to stand here for a while. I texted my husband, he was inside, and I mean, we just tried to scare it off because you can't legally do anything about hawks because you can't kill them, you can't shoot them. Not here, at least. You can't. So I just stayed here because usually when I come out here, a hawk will just fly away. But it's springtime and the food is still scarce for them. So he kind of like stayed up in the tree, and it was very annoying. But the babies did what they were supposed to. It's such an instinct for them, and it's great. They immediately went and hid because they heard the big girls scream bloody murder. They went and hid, and the ones that hid outside, I kind of scooped them and got them inside, and then I closed the chicken door. So at least I knew they were in the house and they were secure, so they couldn't come out, teaching them go in there when there's trouble. And then we just kind of had to wait for the hawk to fly away. And it was like 7 o'clock, so it was pretty much time for them to go to bed anyways. I put their food and their water inside the house. That way I could shut them up for the night and close them in for the night, I should say. And they did really good. Yes, it was really last chilly night for a while, but again, they have a heater inside there. I put the brooder heater on its side and I turned it on heat, and it actually is very, very hot. Once I closed everything up, don't come at me about this. Sometimes duct tape is a wonderful thing. So I had some of these smaller holes that I just needed to close up around here, so I just, whatever. I just put duct tape on them. It's not a permanent structure for them. I just needed to keep it semi-warm in there for a certain period of time. So they haven't really come out. Now they're just starting to come out and explore. The sun's coming up. It's getting warmer. It's supposed to be really nice this week, so they'll do really fine. Hi, Blue. Hi, Bubbers. Come out and eat the grass. You gonna come out and eat the grass? Yes. All right, so we are going to be doing some work in the garden, so stay tuned for the next video. And from my coop to yours, thank you for growing with me so I can grow with you.